I'm Laura Robbins, and this is a summary of John Lennon. Who all has ever seen the picture of the four men walking across the street dressed nicely? Well, that would be the Beatles, and the lead singer would be the one and only John Lennon. People still listen to John Lennon's music today, and he is one of the most well-known musicians. I first heard of the Beatles when I was around 6 years old. My mom was a hippie, and I've loved them ever since. In this video, you're going to hear about the life of John Lennon, his musical career, and the tragic loss that devastated so many. Lennon lived a semi-normal lifestyle for being as famous as he was. He was a very influential figure in the 1960s. He was born in Liverpool, England on October 9, 1940. He lived with his aunt due to his parents' separation and other family conflicts. His late mother was the first person to introduce him to music by buying his instruments. In 1963, he married Cynthia Powell. Their marriage didn't last long, although they had a son together named Julian. He married again in March of 1969 to Yoko Ono. Lennon was very familiar with controversy. He was always one to voice his opinion, and he was about peace in the world. Even though not everyone agreed with what he had said, bad publicity helped his career by buying more albums and making him even more well-known. Lennon loved music from an early age. In fact, his musical group was the most successful in musical history. Lennon met Paul McCartney in July of 1957. McCartney introduced Lennon to George Harrison. He and Stuart Sutcliffe joined the band, the Beatles. The group chose Pete Best as their drummer, but later replaced him with Ringo Starr. The Beatles were first discovered in 1961. In 1964, the Beatles got their big break in the United States. Queen Elizabeth II even announced that the Beatles would be named a member of the Order of the British Empire. Unfortunately, they took a break for a while and broke up for good not long after that. After the Beatles broke up, Lennon came out with a solo album in 1970. This album, Imagine, was the most successful and critically acclaimed of all his post-Beatle efforts. Lennon was talented in everything he did, and he was loved by so many. On December 8th, in 1980, tragedy struck. The world was devastated and completely in shock. John Lennon had passed away. He was returning to his house in New York City with his wife when a man shot him to death. His assassin was an obsessed fan named Mark David Chapman. His ashes were spread in New York City Central Park. Although it was tragic, the record sales were very high. His death had a big impact on pop culture. Lennon was later inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 1987 and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1994. The newer generation still admire him to this day. You were informed about the life of John Lennon, his musical career, and the achievements and the tragic loss that devastated so many. He tried to live as peaceful of a lifestyle as he could. He loved music, and he was taken too soon. As he said, "You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one."